Happy Tuesday. I am here to spoil this week's podcast episode, which is Lunar Love. And instead of just using the book cover, I decided to use our podcast graphic. So every Monday we put this up, which shows a breakdown of our podcast episode, our ratings, and some little graphics from the book. So you can check the podcast out on pretty much all podcast platforms, especially Apple and Spotify. But this week we covered Lunar Love by Lauren Kung Jensen. And I know today's Tuesday, but tomorrow is Wednesday, and tomorrow is the Chinese New Year, which is very appropriate for this book. So if you haven't read this, I am about to spoil it. This book follows two characters, Olivia and why can I not remember Bennett? I was like, why can I not remember his name? I was gonna call him Asshole, which is what they call him in the book. Anyways, and basically she is inheriting her family's love matchmaking business. Her grandmother started it when she came over from China. Then her aunt ran it, and now it's her time. And they are old school, matchmaking via the Chinese zodiac. She is I believe her zodiac is the horse. And she is super excited. She's been working there, but she's very traditional. They have to match. They cannot mismatch because she's had bad experiences. She lost a really good friend because she mismatched her. She runs into this guy at her favorite bakery on her grandma's birthday. Her grandma is 90. She doesn't learn anything about him. She's oh, I didn't even ask his zodiac, whatever. Come to find out, she runs into this guy again later at a love conference, and he is launching an app called Zodiac Cupid, and it's essentially her idea, but in app form, which she hates. She's it's not traditional, and people could just lie on this app. And she gets the idea to go on this app and lie to match with him because he is the rat zodiac and they're not compatible, but she lies so that they can match on the app, proving that the app is wrong. And then she's trying to get out information. She writes a horrible article about the app, even though he's a really good guy. She keeps going on dates with him to try to get information, and she knows who he is, but he doesn't know who she is. But then they end up on a panel together, and before she can tell him, he finds out who she is. But come to find out, he's known the whole time because he knew her grandmother and his parents, which his mom is passed away. He is actually I believe he's American presenting or white presenting, but he actually is half Asian, and his mom was Asian, and that's why he is into this whole zodiac thing and his inspiration for the app. But his grandmother, or her grandmother, actually is the one who matched his parents, and his parents were not a good match on paper, but they were great in real life. So she's oh my gosh, my whole life is a scam. Oh, I don't know, whatever. So she's really pissed, and he's slow down, Savannah, you lied to me. So then they make this bet on the panel with this podcast, and they're whoever falls in love first on whoever's business will win, and will give you clients or whatever. So then they both start trying to match each other, and very quickly, which I do this part of the book, they decide that they like each other, and they kind of start dating. But our girl Liv is just entirely insecure, and so she sees that he's still using the app, even though he's the owner. He's really just testing it, and she assumes that he's still dating, even though her grandma can tell that she really likes this guy. She's trying to tell her you don't have to hold so firmly to traditions. Traditions can change, whatever. So she spazzes out on him and basically makes up a whole thing that's not even real. So then she realizes her friend tells her you're shooting yourself in the foot, basically. So she decides she's gonna go and see him. He's doing a pitch to get money for his business, and she shows up there and he sees her. All's gonna be well, but then she gets a phone call and her grandmother suddenly dies. She passes away. She was 90, and so that's very traumatic, but they really celebrate life there. So he ends up coming to the funeral, and they end up professing their love to each other. And at the end of the book, they decide that they're actually going to merge their businesses, and she has learned to really loosen the reins on what tradition means. So it is a romance. It's just, it's cute. It is another culture, which I really like. I love a zodiac anyway. So this is very fun and interesting to get into, very lighthearted. And, with romances, we generally have a happy ending, which I always enjoy. So if you would like to hear about this in more detail, you can check this out on any of the podcast platforms, and I will be back next Tuesday to spoil next week's episode.